Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jimmy whisenhunt, and I just made a movement video. I know. This is another one. I received a lot of feedback from the community saying, hey, look, make one with CSGO and 1.6, so here we are. We're going to put that together right now. Now, keep in mind, I do everything live to tape. I don't necessarily edit anything. I just do it as it comes along, so I apologize for any weirdness. Okay, so I want to recap. Yesterday we talked a little bit about movement. We talked about how bunny hopping, at least I think, and I seem to be, all the pros are on the same page with me, that things like bunny hopping and just general freedom of movement is huge to the skill ceiling of the game, and skill ceiling is what's going to make this game fall or just succeed. So either it's going to flop in the competitive scene because of the skill ceiling being low, or it's going to do really freaking well because it's another 13-year game. So we're going to take a look at that. It's early. Nah. Here we go. Okay, so first let's jump into Counter-Strike 1.6. We're going to be here on DE Nuke. And once again, I already apologize for the weirdness. I think we should be good. Actually, I'm going to turn on dynamic crosshair, and I'll show you why here in a moment. By the way, if you're sitting here going, is it already on? It's already on. Okay. If you're sitting here going, you know, who is this guy? Why is he talking about movement? I've been playing this game 13 years, and I'm a movement fanatic. I bunny hop a lot for peaks and that sort of thing. I am a strong believer in the fact that if my movement is superior, I'm going to beat you. Sure, the people will just outshoot the heck out of me sometimes, but, you know, the movement is part of your arsenal. So learning your flashbangs, when to flash for your team, when to flash for yourself, when to save your nades, that's one thing you can add to your roster. You can add aim to your roster. You can become a just deathmatch constantly and really focus on your crosshair placement and your reaction times. Get that sensitivity just right. That's another thing you can add to your arsenal. You can add bunny hopping to your arsenal, which basically just means being comfortable with it to get in and out of sticky situations safely. You can add crouch hopping 1.6, which I don't really necessarily agree with crouch hopping. I don't think it should be in CSGO, but you can also add learn your timings on your strafe, when you can shoot. You can add your bursting. There's so many things you add to your arsenal. In CSGO right now, you're kind of stuck to just run and shoot. Run and shoot. So today we're talking about movement, something that I think we should have the ability to add to our roster. So back to CS 1.6. Okay, so bunny hopping, basically, if you're not familiar with 1.6, is pretty slow. I talked about Foon yesterday. He has a video that's actually hilarious called Too Much for Z Block, but let's face it, it's not good for the competitive scene. Basically, in Source, there was a problem where if you bunny hopped and you got really good at it, you would fly across maps. It's just like you wouldn't even see him. He'd just fly through here. Well, 1.6 it wasn't abused, and the reason why is because it's just the air acceleration and air controls just right, where you're still slow, but it can still catch people off guard. Quick example on how bunny hopping can be used on DE Nuke. If I spot here and I notice, that's just me tapping my crouch button, I notice there's someone there. As I come across, my teammate's here, I say, flash me in. Then I jump to here, and he's already flashing in, so as that flash comes in, I can jump into the side. Notice I wasn't too fast to shoot at, but I mean, I was in such a motion to where I was comfortable, and he wasn't. I will make this guy very uncomfortable with my movement. However, if his movement's good, he will be able to get out of the situation. And by that I mean, if I see that flash come in, I see someone bunny hop across, I get on top of the light and kind of wait for the flash. If I'm blinded, if I hear him coming in, I can drop and then get away, which is actually quicker than just running and get to position. So things like that, okay? So that's just a quick example. But you've seen kind of how it works here with your air control. If I push D and I look right as I'm in the air, I go right. If I push A, I go left. And I'm moving my mouse at the same time I'm moving my keys. And if I actually start from a dead standstill, I can actually start moving. I'm not pushing forward or backward at all. I just did that with left and right and my movement. Okay, so as the round ends, we're going to jump over to CSGO. Okay, so basically we're going to talk about it real quick. What we just talked about was the movement, how it can be beneficial on DE Nuke, and what it looks like in Counter-Strike 1.6. Here we are with Counter-Strike Global Offensive, the new version of Counter-Strike that Valve has released in closed beta. By the way, if you're interested in getting in the beta, I do believe you can still get a key, or at least a chance at a key, from filling out the survey. Okay, so let's look at the bunny hopping first in this. So before we had great air control and things like that. Here you're limited with stamina. I'll just show you what it means. So before, remember, I was like bang, bang, bang. Okay, well, let's look at this. I'm still jumping. You hear stuttering sound, and that stuttering sound basically just means that, well, it didn't want me to jump anymore until I let go. I gotta wait a sec, now I can jump again. But still only that far. Your hops get smaller and smaller until you can't even tell you're jumping anymore, other than the little shakes on my screen right now. A little goofy to me, but that's okay. I just want to show you what it's like now. My point is that movement is a huge part of Counter-Strike, and I believe that we should have freedom of movement, which encourages creative thought and awesome games and incredible players. I've spoken to a lot of Source players also who tend to agree with me that the skill ceiling is infinitely higher in 1.6 just because of kind of the freedom of movement and the physics of the game. So real quick, let's take a look at how it can benefit the inside of DE Nuke, because obviously they've changed it. So let's look at how this could benefit me if I had freedom of movement. So, used to be that I had to come out, I worry about bomb box and rafters, and that's really all I had to worry about. Well, now I come out, and like, look at the clutter. It's bam. Whoa. I got this huge silo, forklift, barrels, box, and then get out to rafters a lot quicker, and then get to middle rafters a lot quicker than they used to be able to. So there's a lot to worry about. Now, if I had freedom of movement, I could peek out, check that, and I know there's a guy in sight, right? So if this was 1.6 with this map, or just anything where I had freedom of movement, I would be able to hit this, and then jump across, and then jump across again, and jump across again. I have to do the single jumps, and I could catch this guy off guard. However, if he had good movement, and he saw me, pew, bunny hop out, well, then he could then chase me around and get into position to kill me. So that's how the movement battle begins. Instead of turning into a raw aim battle, the aim gets mixed with your in-game awareness and your ability to control your character efficiently. But you can't control your character in such a way unless you are able to, unless the game allows you to, and I think it should. Okay, so we talked a little bit about that. I'm going to try to keep this one nice and short and sweet. We're going to go over to DE Train as you stare at me for a moment. Hello again. DE Train. I'm going to show you kind of how I react to Train on 1.6. And once again, I want to reiterate. The guys that have seen my videos before know that I'm okay with learning a new game. Awesome. My main problem is that I think there's a better way this could be done, and I think the game could be much more successful. Freeze time. Restart game. Okay, cool. So, we are now on DE Train on CSGO. I'm not going to switch over to 1.6 and change it. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how freedom of movement benefits both sides once again on inner bomb site and outer bomb site, real briefly. So let's take a look at that. I am here, and everything seems to be set. So let's go to 1.6 first. Okay, so we're going to look at the terrorist side first. Okay, so there's a couple ways that you can peek inner. I'm not going to deal with the crouch hopping aspect, which you can crouch hop down this ramp, which is awesome, by the way. But once again, that was kind of a glitch. So bunny hopping in this game, my freedom of movement allows me to come down the ramp quickly. And not only that, if you actually do it right, which I rarely do these days because I don't play much anymore, you can end up over here. So you can smoke this. They can still see you, so you can smoke this, and I can end up over here and worry about bomb site because I passed up that opper. He missed the shot, right? Well, so let's look at this from a another perspective. Okay, so I'm up on the trains. They smoke it off, and I see a little sliver. Bunny hop, bunny hop, bunny hop, okay? So I didn't get down the ladder, which once again, I know it's different in the other game. And I can bunny hop my way around to avoid counter ops and kind of move my way around, get under trains quickly. You can actually move under the trains really quick. At least I used to be able to, but you can actually almost instantly get under the trains, things like that, because of the freedom of movement. So I kind of showed you how you can get down the ramp quickly, and how it's kind of a counter thing also. If you have good movement, you can still prevail. However, if this guy back here does not have good movement, and the guy up here does, and you're on the same level of aim, he's going to beat you. The terrorist is going to kill you, because he's just going to make his way, plant the bomb, and he's going to get his way over behind the trains without colliding with anything. Maybe a little bit of bunny hopping here and there, or getting under the trains quickly, just because he has superior movement. He's going to beat you. So let's jump over to CSGO real quick, and let's take a look at DE Train. Some of you guys may not have even seen DE Train yet. I just think it's so huge. I think movement is just the greatest thing, that, like in Quake and Counter-Strike. I understand that Valve seems to want to make this game more modern, but my problem is it's not a modern series. Like, to be as competitive as it once was, it needs to stay an arcade shooter. We're not bound to normal laws of physics. If I want to play a modern shooter, I'm going to go play Call of Duty because it does it better than Counter-Strike does, and it has an epic storyline. I don't like Call of Duty, but if that's what I wanted to do, I'd play Call of Duty. Okay, so let's talk about ways to enter right now. I mean, sure, I could smoke this up and kind of worry about what's right here and stuff, but see, I'm stuck to just running and gunning, and which is cool. I understand that's what some players do, and that's all they do. But I really think that I should have the option to add this to my arsenal, to have the option of having great movement and beating players, being able to really bunny hop out further and take them down. When it turns into just a run and gun, then the skill ceiling will cap out in a year. I'm calling it right now. If they do not fix the movement of this game, if the movement does not get to a more kind of creative way of moving around, like with the bunny hopping and the friction getting better, then the skill ceiling will cap out in a year, and it's just, that's it. That's not fun. You won't see any more creative things happening other than just a couple smokes maybe or something. But yeah, so that's the difference comparison. One other thing I'm going to cover today is how movement and shooting works, how I could master my movement 1.6 when it's not quite the same in CSGO. So let's go over to 1.6 real quick. So I turn on dynamic crosshair, which I typically don't use, just to demonstrate my point here. You see how quickly, like, I can actually move so quickly that my recoil isn't affected? Like, I can just briefly move. It's really great at avoiding someone spraying at you. Yeah, so I know exactly when I can stop and shoot. I know exactly, like, I can actually keep moving almost, it looks like. I know where my bullets are going. I can see them plainly on the wall in front of me because they don't have tracers and all kinds of crazy things. But I could do this all day at an opper, and he might not hit me if I'm doing that around a corner. Or someone who just doesn't aim as well as I do. And this is just awesome. I can turn that into a 2-shot burst. I have to stop for a second longer. But I can turn that into a 2-shot burst. You can even do a 5-shot burst if you wanted to. But anyway, so this is kind of my point here. So let's take a look at CSGO. And actually, let's go buy a weapon, or let's restart the round. I understand I'm using an AK, but once again, I just want to show what I'm talking about. I really, like, I'm not 100% where that's going, because I've noticed when I do this in a normal game, the bullets don't seem to really go where they're supposed to, because the movement feels so, it's overly smooth. It's like trying to go around the track in an old Cadillac. You know, sure, it's really smooth and stuff, but it's not going to perform nicely. Like, it won't. It just doesn't. Cadillacs weren't meant to do that. And I feel like that's kind of what's happened with the movement in this game. And they're also trying to limit, like, they thought the bunny hopping was a huge problem, when it really never was. You know, it was just more of a flaw in the air acceleration and stuff in CSS that was the problem, not the bunny hopping, which ended up getting fixed. So Valve replicate 1.6's air acceleration and freedom of movement. I think that would be wonderful. I think that would make for a great competitive game and could make or break CSGO for most of the community. Now keep in mind also, Valve, that there is a huge community of players, gigantic, that just play KZ maps. KZ maps are like, you know, your bunny hopping maps, you bunny hop across pillars, or your surf maps, things like that, which I don't see, you can't do that right now. That's a very large part of the community. Yeah, so that's my rant for today. You know, I want to go more into depth of what I think about the actual movement of the player and how exact angles affect, or how exact angles are affected. Like, for example, when you're trying to peek a corner, like how it's not as precise in this game as it could be. We'll talk about that in another video. But for now, you know, I don't even think that's as big of a deal as the freedom of movement with like your bunny hopping. and the ladders and things like that. So anyway, I will see you guys here fairly soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, follow me on Twitter at JimmyWiz. I talk about this kind of stuff a lot, and I answer a lot of questions if there are any. And if you want to present a case against what I'm saying, I'm fully open to that. I've had a lot of people do that, and we've discussed it, and I've adapted some points. Like I've adapted points for people, but a lot of people tend to agree in the end with what I'm saying here, including the pro community for Counter-Strike 1.6 source, and source also. So once again, don't forget, follow on Twitter, check out whisenhunt.tv where these videos are typically posted, along with blogs on the game and my shoutcast. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time, which might just be today. I don't know yet. We'll see.